I'm Matthew Miller. We're here with Seton Hall University Television. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Burke Magnus. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Great to be here.
Doing well. I'm excited to be doing this interview. So as president of content at ESPN, what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis?
So it's a big group of people. It's everybody who has anything to do with our production, either live events, our studio shows, news and information, our journalism, sports center, etc. But it's also everything off television, all of our digital, ESPN.com, the app. It's all of our off-platform branded social media handles. It's our talent office. It's everything outside the U.S. So it's a big bunch of people making sports.
Yes, I bet that's a big job to oversee. How do you oversee what goes live and what content gets put out?
So a couple things there. We have partners in a different group called programming that sort of make the schedule for the linear networks. They're the ones picking games, and a lot of people wonder, how do you get which college game do you decide to do on which network at which time? Programming does that. We partner with them, because whether it's Sports Center or Get Up in the Morning or First Take or the Pat McAfee Show, all of that stuff, sort of is done in coordination with programming on the linear networks, and then we populate content across the digital platforms, which, by the way, which by design are non-linear. So time and space doesn't really matter as much in that environment. So it's a great partnership across the entire team at ESPN.
I can imagine that. And then so you're in a leadership role, how did you build that way up to becoming president, not just some leadership role, but president of content? What are some of the characteristics or traits that ESPN looks for in someone in that leadership role?
Yeah, so I've been there for 30 years. So, started at the bottom, so to speak. First of all, just passion for the product, right? Passion for sports and for media and for content is first and foremost. A lot of people have that. But if you can get in through your passion, then you sort of demonstrate, the business fundamentals that really makes for success in any realm, which is hard work, curiosity, a drive for, accomplishing, results and from a business perspective, driving results. It's the same in any environment. But at ESPN, it really starts with a love and a passion for sports and for the product, first and foremost.
Yeah, speaking of environments, you touched on this earlier, and I wanted to delve more into the topic. How did ESPN go about running content during the shutdown of COVID? How did that whole thing work out? I know you mentioned that you were always live the whole time. How did that go about with cancellations and reprogramming the schedule? How does that work?
It seems impossible now, though somehow we pulled it off. I remember vividly that night. It was a Wednesday night in March. I think it was March 11th, when the NBA canceled their games because Rudy Gobert had tested positive before a game. I think he was in Salt Lake at the time. And so that's when we knew it was real. Like, the first major league had decided, okay, we have a positive test among one of our players, and we're going to shut down the schedule. We're going to shut down the season. And we're going to try and figure it out. And everything sort of went from there, right? League after league after league after league, the same thing happened. And it wasn't too long before we realized, like, okay, our bread and butter live events are not going to be available to us. What do we do? And we tore down the entire schedule, and literally we're going at the beginning day by day to try and just get through, 24 hours. Sports Center played a huge role because that was something that we could control. People were hungry for information about their sport or their league or their team. What's going to happen next with the NFL? What's going to happen next with Major League Baseball, et cetera. So we kind of built the schedule around Sports Center, and then we went out and tried to find things that were happening around the world, anywhere around the world. You may remember we did a schedule of Korean baseball games because Korea had a very low COVID rate in their country, so they actually could continue their professional baseball league. So we were doing Korean baseball. We were doing, minor league games, in wherever they could happen. We would do, odd events from around the globe just to get some kind of live presence. But it was it was quite an undertaking. Probably makes for a good book or a good 30 for 30 someday.
Yeah. And then to leave on a positive note, strong note for our viewers, mostly college students, what is your advice for someone who's in college and wants to seek that next big internship or even the job at a company like ESPN Plus or yeah, ESPN?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I said before, which is, you know, harness your passion, stick with it, don't give up, and then when you get a shot, show up in a big way, right? Be professional, be curious, be passionate, be enthusiastic, and just bring to the table, present, yourself as somebody that, people would want to spend time with because, the one thing you'll understand about, work and career when you get years into it, like I am, you realize that you spend a lot of hours, maybe the majority of your life, working at your profession. And so, people tend to want to surround themselves with people that are fun and work hard and try and achieve the same success that you're trying to achieve. So, when you're a young person, try and you know demonstrate those traits to a potential employer and go from there.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Burke Magnus.
You got
Great
it.
to be here.
Thank you.